is just the massacre versus us understanding the people who built it. And these names have disappeared, which is why I think it's important to tell the story and carry these people's names and legacies, because they weren't just people who lost everything in 1921. These same people helped rebuild the district and made sure that it thrived, well into the 50s and the 60s. And so that's the biggest portion of it. And then even just the Black wealth perspective of it. A lot of times we think that the division came from the days of slavery, when first generation and second generation out of slavery, Black people all over the country built amazing things that a lot of our communities have not been able to replicate today. So with as much technology and even quote unquote freedom we have not been able to recreate what first and second generation free people did. And so I think we know very little of it. And so that's kind of what my job is. I think that every generation should have at least one history keeper, and their job should be to put the history in terms that their generation can understand. So I use music, pop culture, and art mainly because my generation, that's how we learned. We learned our lessons from watching Lion King and things of that nature. And so we have to be able to put it kind of in that same template, and then the generation under me should do the same for theirs.
Interesting. So let's just start there in terms of the DNA of the people that developed Black Wall Street in the first place. What do you think that we lost that they had? Like, what do you think happened that made us? I have my own thoughts on that, but I'd like to know your thoughts on what's the difference between an African American in 2024 versus versus an African American that lived in Greenwood in 1914, let's say.
Mhm. I would say that an African American in Greenwood in 1914 understood um, group economics a little better than we do, but they also they wanted to support one another. I think that when you're bombarded with options, it does kind of cloud your judgment on what you spend your money on and what you do. It's similar to you just getting back from Egypt. It's one of the things, like when you're in Egypt, there's very few soda options. So it's easy to pick Coca-Cola every time, because it's the one you recognize and there's very few options. But walking into an American gas station or an American grocery store where there's 50 or 60 different sodas, you're going to spread that money around and try all of it. And so that Black Coca-Cola would be taking a hit financially. So you go from seeing 1914, they're seeing 200 to 300 people a day inside of their businesses. 2024, I'm having to now share that traffic with other communities. And so I'm not seeing 200 people a day. And so that's going to drive, just drive my income down, which means less product, less marketing, less upgrade. And so I just think the difference was also a story elders tell me all the time here. Papa Eaton is the main one, but he said that we used to be bees. We've become flies. And the analogy was there's a story he tells us about. There's an old enslaved man who's driving a buggy and he's taking master to town. And when he sees a fly picking at the horse's ear, he takes his whip and he cracks the fly. And when he kills the fly, master says to him, he said, "John, you surely is good with that whip." And so John says, "Yeah, I reckon I get pretty good practice. I'm pretty good." So they keep rolling, and Master yells to John, "Stop the buggy." John stops the buggy. Master points at this bee, and he says, "John, I'm willing to bet you your freedom that you can't hit that bee from here." And so John looks at the bee and he says, "Well, Master, it looks like I was going to be a slave for the rest of my days because I don't hit them." So Master said, "Why not?" And he said, "Because them's organized." And so we used to be bees, you know. And so now it went more to fly. So if you look at that analogy now, every bee in that beehive knows that it'll die if it stings you, but everyone in that beehive will come out to sting you for attacking one bee versus a fly. Another fly will fly right over that dead fly to get whatever it died trying to get. And so that's kind of the difference
Wow.
between a 1914 African American person in Greenwood and then a 2024 version.
Woof. Yeah, that's a great story, and it makes a very strong point. Um, Wow, those bees are organized. I'm gonna process that. I love that. Um, and the bees have a type of consciousness that the flies don't have. Like every morning we do financial consciousness, and I explain how consciousness is when you level up and you become a part of something bigger than yourself. You understand that it's not just about you. It's not just about the here and now. It's not about sort of just being comfortable right in the moment. It's about
Mhm.
being committed to something that transcends just the lower vibrational stuff. Meaning, if you're connected to an idea or to a cause or to a community or
Mhm.
even a family, you're going to operate and move differently. You're going to start playing chess instead of checkers. You're going to sort of respond to things differently. And so I really like that because it does seem, Cody, like a lot of us really are just sort of trained to think about ourselves and that's it. And this idea of working together is not something that is really all that popular. A lot of
Mhm.
people don't really even understand why supporting black-owned businesses even matters. So let me ask you this. So in terms of what you learned about the people in Black Wall Street, did your grandma, now what was your grandmother's name again?
Margaret Ransom. Yeah.
Margaret Ransom. Okay, so Miss Margaret, you said she bought the house in the night. Did you say she bought the house in the 1940s?
Yeah, so the neighborhood used to actually be a Klan neighborhood. A lot of the Massacre architects who helped construct the Massacre, they lived in that neighborhood, including Tate Brady, who was the chairman of the Klan at the time and lived here in Tulsa. But as Black people started to move into that neighborhood, of course, all the Klansmen left. And so that was one of her dying wishes. Is she said, "Don't sell my house to these white folks." That's the
Really?
last thing I remember her telling me. So,
Wow.
but it was because she stressed even when she was alive how hard and difficult it was to purchase that house, and how hard her and my grandpa had to work to get it. And so she said, whatever you could do to keep it, keep it. Like, you can't let that go. And so but what she also used to say is, God don't make no more land. So when you get a piece of it, you got to keep it. And so that's, also another difference. I don't think we value land the way those people did, not understanding that this land is the reason we can be who we are. Back then, they understood that, but I also think they had a healthier relationship with nature than we do now. Uh, Most of us are concrete babies. We can't remember the last time we went and put our feet in the grass. So it that also changes the consciousness of people.
Mm. Wow. Wow. Okay, so if she bought the house in the 1940s, what year was she born?
1926.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she was a newborn. What is her connection to what happened in 1921? Did she have relatives that had that experience, or tell me about that?
Yeah, her uncle had a small tailoring company here, Moses Brewer, and then my grandfather, his aunt, had a small tailoring company, which was Miss Cass Branson. So she more so remembered the second generation of Greenwood, which is again one of those things that most people don't know ever existed. They think it all burned down in 1921. And so part of what I do, even as a joke, is on the tours, is I show people pictures of Greenwood in the 50s or the 60s, and you can see a 60s model Mustang, and they'll say, like, I can't believe they burned all of that. Like, yeah, context clues, man. So yeah, it's amazing how many, but once we reach a point of trauma, a lot of people's brains do stop. It stops there. And it can't really process what's further until kind of activate a reason for them to need to know it. And so that was one thing that she stressed a lot. And I remember being younger, the first time I actually talked to Mother Fletcher, who's the oldest survivor. I remember her saying that she remembers it. All I had to do was learn it. So which job was harder? And so
Mm.
that's why no matter what I find, no matter how I feel about it and how painful it might be to learn, I get to remind myself that there's a person who actually remembers versus having to learn it.
How did you learn it? Tell me about that process in terms of just, I noticed that you have a lot of specific knowledge and understanding of what happened, in that space, in that important historical event, and also how it fit broadly into what was going on nationally. Tell me about your process of getting that knowledge. I know you didn't get it from the public school, so what did it look
No,
like for you?
no. Anybody who's met me before will tell you I'm an old soul. I enjoy sitting with elders more than I do people of my own age group. And so I just got really good at asking questions. I was raised to do that. And so I ask why until I can't, find another why to ask. But also when I look at things, I try to look at it holistically and see what's going on around the area that I'm looking into. And so when it came to the massacre, I would ask my grandma stories about the race riot, is what they all called it back then. And at first, it was more of, nah, I don't really want to talk about that. Or she would give me only positive things. Well, yeah, in Greenwood, we had everything. Or if we didn't have it, we didn't need it because it was all down there on Greenwood. And then later, me finding specifics from Tulsa Historical Society is where, as a kid, I started going in there, and just stuff wasn't adding up to what the elders were saying happened. And so the papers all say 36 people died, but the Salvation Army did actually, they buried over 200 themselves. And so just seeing like, oh, okay, so these discrepancies that we're finding at the Historical Society, all of these elders who don't know each other are all saying the same thing. And so another lady, Eddie Faye Gates, if anyone's a reader, Eddie Faye Gates was one of the first people I saw doing it when I was growing up. Of course, there were more people that documented it, but her video interviews of survivors, people like Mabel B. Little, which I talk about a lot, their account of what happened, you can tell they weren't inflating the numbers. You can tell they weren't embellishing it because there was no reason to. They were denied all the insurance money. They were denied all access and reasons to embellish. And just the sound of those people's voices when they talked about what they remembered told you everything. And so, yeah, it just became, it's like going down a rabbit hole. You can't get out of it once you start to dig. And then you start seeing how more communities were affected by things similar. And so I think that America has been really good at working off of templates. And so I started looking to the Red Summer. I started looking to East St. Louis and Rosewood and Seneca Village in New York City, Oscarville, Georgia. So I started looking into other Black towns and seeing that, oh, okay, very similar stories. So how did they hide it? And I just ended up finding that they're all pretty much hidden the same way. The elders are basically threatened into being quiet. And then over the years, that because they feel like they're passing trauma verbally, to their descendants, a lot of them wouldn't do it. And so you have to let those elders know that the stories they're giving you you're not asking them to bring you down. You're asking them so that you can use the blueprint of what they remember in order to build on top of it. So as I mentioned, my brother Marlon Hall said, Tulsa is not a graveyard, it's a garden. And so if you can convince your elders that you're working in a garden and you do need that history, is at minimum, it's compost to be able to grow what you need to grow.
So let me ask you this, Cody. So with Black Wall Street and what we know happened in Greenwood, how far has the state of Oklahoma gone in terms of compensating that community and the descendants and those who lost everything at that time? What have they done, and what do people want them to do?
The original, I guess, the first thing they tried was giving us a park, which, like I said, it's a template. It's actually a reconciliation park. So without reconciliation, we got a park named Reconciliation. But to be honest, since you've been in the Greenwood district, you put more money into the descendants and the rebuilding of Greenwood than the city of Tulsa or the state of Oklahoma. They constantly deny these people reparation. I'm a person who, knowing that people are still here from that time period, Tulsa wants to wipe his hands clean of it. Again, we get museums, we get an acknowledgement. It's almost like paying us in cachet. It's like, well, you get recognition. It's like, well, no one's ever bought a piece of property with that. So we don't get the land back. We don't get any of that. So it didn't matter what we asked for. There's been times where people have asked for money. There's times where people ask for land. even asking for it to be put in the educational system the right way, even that's pulling teeth. And so, but Oklahoma also understands that it is a microcosm of the U.S. in general. Oklahoma operates very similar to the way the U.S. does. A lot of those stereotypes that people in the chat have seen before, you're from the wrong side of the tracks. Well, there's a set of railroad tracks that divides Greenwood from White Tulsa back then. We still have that exact same railroad track here. Or you're from the other side of the highway. The highway put there during urban renewal tore up Greenwood, and the largest collection of Black people in Tulsa, Oklahoma, live north of that highway. So it divides North Tulsans and descendants of Greenwood from all of the resources. And so it's a lot of these people here were our descendants. Our mayor now, he's a descendant of slave owners, and his wealth was built off of that. And so he won't say anything when it comes to reparation for Greenwood, because I mean, that opens the door for quite a few families to then say, well, you obviously believe in reparation. So his entire wealth was built off of that. And so a lot of times it's they just won't say anything versus saying no or yes. So Oklahoma, I don't believe Oklahoma will ever do anything until it affects their dollar, to be honest. And as a whole, I think that all of the different, I've seen people in the chat that are from areas that I know had Black Wall Streets or versions of Black Wall Streets. And so we can't just talk about Greenwood. We got to talk about all of them, and we have to do it at the same time, because if it's split up, it looks like, oh, there was a one-off event. And then a few years later, oh, we just learned about another one-off event, versus collectively, we have to be talking about it at the same time and continue to put the pressure on. I think that if it's just one generation or one group of people doing it, it doesn't work. It literally has to be all of us, because it affects all of us.
Mm. Okay, so let me answer everybody who just came in. I'm talking to Cody Ransom, and we're talking about the real history of Black Wall Street and what really happened. And toward the end of the conversation, Cody is going to, if you want to continue to learn under him, he is partnering with the Black Business School, and he's going to do a multi-week training on all these topics. And so if you would like, you'll get an opportunity to participate in that. First question is Anita Shelton. She wants to know about that picture in the background. Is that a picture of the founders of Black Wall Street? That is not. That's actually from my home state of Kentucky, right?
Yep. So that was just a little Easter egg I put in there, because the reason I put it there is because not all of people who look like this were in Black Wall Street. And so to show that yes, Black Wall Street was prominent, and it's important to learn the history, but we also got to learn about people like this as well. So this was Black wealth, early Black wealth. This was first generation out of slavery. So these existed all over. And so that's kind of why, I was so excited to do the class, because the Black history in those areas directly tie into Greenwood as well.
All right. Solomon says, what was the religious church message or ideal when it came to the thought on giving compared to the message today when it comes to finances? Okay, so I guess he's asking about churches. How, is there a difference between the mindset of a church, say today, versus say the mindset of a church in Greenwood in 1920? How would you compare the two?
Yeah, I'd say there's a difference, but there's also a lot of similarities. So shameless plug, my sister Christy Williams, she runs Black History Saturdays, where she takes out time and teaches Black history on Saturday for free to Black folks to pull up. But she also is a member and doing a lot of great work over at Vernon AME. I'm a person that I was always kind of looking at the churches like, man, I wish they were the way they were back in the day. That church is one that I see being on that track, because it's more than just a place of worship. It is a place where Black people connect. I've watched that church feed people for literally every day since COVID. They could have stopped when COVID was over, and all of that was done, but they continue to do it every single day. And it's a meal for whoever needs it. They find a way to fund it themselves. It's actually cooked meals. They're not handing out McDonald's. So if I could go to church in 1919 in Greenwood, Vernon, and for Vernon to be the church that, the foundation of that church survived the massacre. So they actually still have the burned bricks on the building from the massacre. So that one is that way. I think that other churches have become more of taking the mega church model. So it brings in finance, but that sense of community is not the same. So I think that churches back then, which Greenwood history shows, it was the armory. It was the place where you went to not only praise but connect with people. It was the place you went for resources. It was our community center before we had community centers. So I think that it is different now. But Vernon AME is a church that I've personally seen with my own two eyes. Try to do their best to get back to being what the Greenwood Spirit is supposed to be.
Okay. I'll, first off, actually, I want to jump down to Gigi's question about this is more technical. Is Gigi said she keeps getting logged out of the Zoom. Is anybody is everybody okay with that, or are you're not getting logged out, are you? Let me know if you're able to hear and see everything okay and you're not having any problems. Just type good, I'm good, or okay, or no, okay, no, I'm good. Okay, thank you, Jen Jasmine. Okay, I see that. All right, great. Okay, yeah. So sorry, Gigi. It looks like it might be on your end. I thought maybe the Zoom was overflowed or something like that. But I think we're not totally at capacity. We're close to it, but okay, yeah. So it might be just on your end, Gigi. There is a link on YouTube that you can actually take a look at, and I can share that link if you need it. Chanel's in the chat; she can help you as well. Okay, so Audrey wants to know: do you have a book? Have you ever written a book about your grandparents' stories and experiences, or anything like that?
I have not yet. I told myself I have to be a service to the block for at least another 2 years before I do. I'm a person that I believe in, putting in my 10,000 hours as best I can before doing something like that. And I also wanted to make sure that I got the blessing of everybody that I want to include in. So there's still a few names and people that I've yet to be able to actually sit down and have that talking to about it. But I do want to write a book in a way that doesn't just give out, stories. I want it to be a way to where you could literally just erase the name and plug in your family's name. You feel like these are your people too. So yeah, it's a process, but one day for sure.
Okay. RJ McKenzie's asking, with your love for the past, specifically Black history, have you or will you ever team up with people like Henry Louis Gates, since who does things like DNA and Black stories? Do any of these individuals ever reach out to you or to try to connect with you with the important work that you do?
I've not talked to them myself, but I'm also getting better at being more. I'm a person that neglected social media for so long, so I'm more of a face to face person. So I'm getting better at kind of building those connections and doing it. I'm open to working with anyone who wants to teach Black history the right way. I would love to partner with every last one of them because I believe that the more people again doing it, the bigger the village, the bigger the impact. So many hands make light work. So if you happen to know those people, I would love to connect with them. I'm very easy to find. I'm in Greenwood every day, so very small community. So yeah, that's something I would look forward to doing for sure.
Okay. I'm answering the questions that are in the Q&A section, by the way. So if you put it in the chat, I probably won't see it. But let's see. Sharon's asking, where did they bury all the people that were killed?
Officially, they have found a few of the mass graves at Oak Lawn Cemetery, which is just a few miles south of the Greenwood district, in the quote unquote colored section of the cemetery. But by the elders' account, there were bodies dumped in the river. There were bodies buried where we have a baseball stadium in Greenwood now. That was supposed to be a site of mass graves, and another facility called Evans Fentube. I've heard of it being in that area as well. But a lot of the bodies were thrown in the river. So we've found a couple of the mass graves, but they're all in the same area that they found them so far.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that baseball stadium. It looks very nice.
Mhm.
Is that baseball stadium benefiting the community in a significant way, or is there more that
No,
needs to be done with that?
Yeah, it's definitely more that needs to be done. But I'm also a person that I play devil's advocate in my own head a lot, and so I think part of that reason too is me personally. I've been expecting them to just do something or just do the right thing, versus saying that, you know what, I have to be very intentional about applying pressure and making them do something. That way, if they resist to that, I got ammunition to fight. So that's actually been my project for the last couple of months, is figuring out what I want to make them do and what the community wants and kind of going for it. I actually just seen my sister Christy Williams in the chat. She same thing. She said, "Nah, they're not doing nothing right now."
Shout out to Miss Christy Williams. Okay, so Eunice Hall says, "What happened to the money that was in the bank? Do you know anything about that? Like
Yeah,
what?
so a lot of people from Greenwood pulled their money out of Tulsa banks right after the massacre. So that's money they were able to use to rebuild. That was millions of dollars back in 1921, which is tens of millions today. But the money that was inside of people's homes and things of that nature, some of it was burned, some of it was looted. The mob was allowed to loot the homes before they would burn them, and so they took anything they wanted. So the people who kept the money in the house, that would have been stolen. More than likely, your bank ledger or bank receipt would have been in the house, so that was burned. So they got a portion from Tulsa banks of what they actually had in the bank, but they did not get everything. But even just a portion amounted to over $3 million. So
Hmm.
I think that 3 million today is pretty close to about 55. I believe it's like 55 million now.
Okay. All right. So we'll do a few more questions and then I'm gonna let Cody kind of take over. And because it looks like you all are very curious and interested in this. And so I think you want me to stop talking and let Cody kind of present his course to you because I think this is something that we all need to know. I'm gonna tell you this. What I see, Cody, is that education is a really important part of this, right? If everyone is fully briefed on what happened and the details of it, that heightens the ability to go get the reparations, to go and seek out the justice, right? Because if everybody's sitting here saying, well, what happened, or I didn't know about that, or it wasn't that bad, then it's very difficult to really galvanize the community the way that you should. So there's a reason why there was so much miseducation around this, or just a lack of information being shared. They're trying to literally bury the past along with the bodies that they buried so it sounds like you're in a fight in terms of making sure the information gets out there. And I'm glad to support you in that, right? Because we share a lot of the same beliefs. I personally would rather have my kids learning from somebody like you than learning from somebody who doesn't even understand who we are, what we've gone through, or what we are capable of. Um, I want to ask you a question that was going through my mind. I've seen people do, films about what happened in Tulsa. In fact, we did a film called Resurrecting Black Wall Street, where we wanted to learn lessons about the economics and the mindset, things like that. And I almost felt a little bit guilty about it just because at that time, many years ago, I think it was around 2015, and we did a premiere in Chicago, and we had one of the survivors at the premiere, and a lot of people showed up. We had a line out the door, down the block, around the corner because so many people were interested in it. I felt bad because I did not feel like I really talked to the community as much as I should have. And then I started noticing a lot of people have, tried to do their own depiction or their own representation of it. Have you seen, first of all, I'd like to ask you two questions then. First, how do you feel about people sort of talking about it, maybe not necessarily understanding it the way you do, but then two, have you seen any depictions that have been pretty good where you maybe saw a movie or something and said, okay, they kind of nailed a lot of this? What do you think about that?
Yeah, originally, like it was the same thing. I kind of had mixed feelings. Mainly the bigger productions. I think that people who come here and they're producing something that it feels personal when people are dumping their own money into it and they're trying to tell the story. But Le, like LeBron James's documentary was one that really, it kind of grinded my gears, man, because it was LeBron. I know that LeBron James has the power to go to the moon next week if he wants to go to the moon. And the fact that he never stepped foot on this soil, but he got an Emmy for it. Actually, I just seen Chrissy say that too. He got an Emmy for it, and we got nothing. Again, we get represent, we get recognition. They get an award, and so it is a story of black. This is Black history. It belongs to us all. But there are still people here that are still living in the city and fighting those same forces who did it. And so I think when it's done correctly, it's done with the people, not for the people. I think the inclusion of Black Wall Street people. I also, in you making the trip here, that feels way different as a local person. To actually come here and learn it versus these people are looking at it from a 5,000-mile view, and
Mm.
they're doing it for recognition. They're not doing it because of what this story represents. Because again, we don't own any commercial property really in Greenwood other than one building. And again, we're talking about people who could literally purchase whatever they wanted. So it's not about them taking their personal finances to do it, but who's to say they can't start a nonprofit and go get it through that realm? Or who's to say that they can't? LeBron James setting feet on Black Wall Street does more for the area and for the story of Black Wall Street than that film ever could. And so I think that some people's reach, it has to be through film. And so I do appreciate the people who take the time to learn it. But even shows like The Watchmen and Lovecraft Country, my sister Christy will know too. But the picture they used for the recreation of Greenwood, the picture they used was from 1936. So some of the buildings were in the wrong place. Now, as a historian, it's something that I saw and I just kind of laughed at, like, oh, okay, like they didn't know that picture wasn't from before. But it also tells me you couldn't have came to talk to anyone, because even if you didn't talk to me, there's Christy Williams, there's Chief Amusan, there's Terry Backus, like, so there's so many of us that would have just, to Papa Eaton, Bobby Eaton Senior, like we would have told you that picture was from after. So it's stuff like that. I think that if we do it the right way, LeBron must not have known that Cleveland had Akron, they had their own versions of Black Wall Street too. And so where's the documentary about the ones in that area? So that just happened to be the time period that Greenwood was on the forefront of everybody's mind. So it was almost like, oh, let's print up a T-shirt, go to Tulsa and sell something. So
Wow.
I appreciate the Black enterprise. I appreciate Black people getting the story out there. But sometimes the way it happens, that was the first time I had been on that side of it, to be like, oh wow, like this is what getting pimped feels like. That's weird. So yeah. But it let me know that I don't ever want to be in those shoes to do that. And so I will say that, for you, it's you. I saw your eyes on the tour. I felt with that, what you were feeling when you were going through it. And so me seeing that documentary, that wasn't one that I'm like, oh wow, what is this? It was more of like, it he got it. Like he understood it. He saw it, and so but Oprah's network, those people didn't come here.
Interesting. Okay, so I think we're all learning something, and I hope everybody can get this. Um, when you're talking about this story, there are people who really own this story. It's no different from if you tell the story of Henrietta Lacks and how they stole her cells and made billions of dollars. That story belongs to the family. And while we might be eager to go tell the story, like, well, let's make the assumption that LeBron and Oprah were trying to do the right thing, right? From their perspective, they didn't realize what they were doing. Um, I get that part, but you can't tell the story of Henrietta Lacks without making sure that the family benefits from the story that belongs to them. And I think that what Cody is saying, I'm not speaking for him. I'm just sharing this perspective. He can correct me anywhere I'm wrong. There's a community that really owns this story. There's a community that had this experience, and they've been frozen out. They're frozen out. They've been subjugated in a really horrible way by the local government. They've really pressed to keep this story out of the news. Also, the resources have been restricted. So I would say that the best way we can really not even, I don't want to say celebrate, the best way we can honor what happened in Greenwood is to learn the story, share the story, but then share the resources, right? So that means everybody first of all, we're going to plan the trip. We're going to go to Greenwood and do what we can, and I encourage everybody to understand that support is bigger than just me just saying your name. Support is bigger than me. It's like with Dr. Claude Anderson. When I first started to work with him, I said, yeah, it's one thing for me to say Powernomics is great. A lot of people do that. Kanye West said that. Diddy said that. Even a lot of people said that. But at some point, somebody's got to write a check for what they believe in. Somebody's got to financially support whatever they believe in. And so, because we support all these other things that we don't believe in, these other people who don't have our best interests at heart. So targeting your resources is really important. So I would encourage everybody to think about ways you can financially support ideas that are consistent with your own. I think that this community deserves to have billions of dollars sort of pushing that direction. I wish Oprah and LeBron had thought about that and just said, okay, if I just pay a little visit, that's going to bring a few $100,000, a couple million into the local economy. That's going to support some Black businesses. I mentioned Cody's business, the Black Wall Street Liquid Lounge. And I said, if you go there, go there and overspend, like just really, enjoy, because it's good service, good product. Why not? You go to Walmart every week, you go to Target every week. Why not go to the Black Wall Street Liquid Lounge? So long story short, everybody, I hope you understand that truly supporting something is hard work. It means doing the heavy lifting that goes beyond just giving words of encouragement. I think that we really want to sort of take this and understand what really happened here and support this community. I don't think this story, I think we're still at the beginning of this story, actually, Cody. I feel like the work that you're doing and the work that your sister's doing and other people in the community is doing, I wouldn't give up. I wouldn't define it by what's happened to this point. I think that being persistent and us really taking the reins of making sure that this story is told, I think that's going to build momentum over time. And it's just like almost anything else, like maybe 20 years ago, people couldn't have envisioned Barack Obama becoming president of the United States. He had mixed results as a president, but still, if you said we're gonna have a Black president by this time, I think most people said that's crazy. There's no way, right? So the world changes very, very quickly, and I think you should keep putting the pressure on. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask you a couple more questions that I see in the chat, and then I'm gonna let you take over. And I know you've got some slides you'd like to share, and so we can do some rapid fire Q&A here. Okay, first of all, Michael Wilson wants to know, do you know the Shepherd family? He says he's in the Shepherd family. Have you heard of the Shepherd family?
I've seen their name on a there's a list of insurance claims down at the Greenwood Cultural Center. There is a Shepherd on there. I would have to get the initials of the person who would have filed an insurance claim, but I can kind of help you figure out if that's them or not. Yeah.
Okay. Michael also mentions the Gap Band,
Oh
which I'm
yeah.
sure you know about that. Okay.
Yeah.
So did you have anything you wanted to say about that? Or
Yeah, man. You dropped a bomb on me. That title wasn't just for the song. So, Gap is Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. So anytime you're on Greenwood in between Archer and Pine, you're in the Gap. So
all
we
right.
even have Gap Band Avenue.
All right, I love that. All right, and let's see here. So I'll mix these two questions together. Gabe is asking about putting your history on Rumble or Gab. I don't use those at all. Do you use Rumble or Gab at all? I don't even.
I've never used them before. I can do some research on them though. Like I said, I'm new to actually jumping online, so I'd have to do a little research on them to see. But yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Is that a pic of your family in the background? No, it's from Kentucky, right?
Yep, from Kentucky. Yeah, I just wanted to every Zoom I've done for the last it's been a minute now. But I try to put a picture of Black excellence behind me that's not tied to my community. Just so we know that it was more than just the Greenwood district.
Okay. If someone mentioned you being interviewed by Michael Imhotep from the African History Network, which I think is a great idea. If Michael's watching, he should definitely reach out to you. Is there any kind of annual parade or event in Tulsa that honors Black Wall Street? Gigi's asking that.
Yeah. Yes, there is the Legacy Festival. It happens around the anniversary date of the massacre every year. It's been going on, I believe, 3, 4 years. Yeah, so there'll be another one. So we do that, but then also for me, I do I do a lot of curated tours and things like that around Juneteenth as well, because they fall so close. And so to me, June is Black History Month. So that's when I do the largest collection of that. But yeah, Legacy Fest and the Juneteenth, you can find a lot of it's both events take place on Black Wall Street. So they're pretty big around here.
Okay. All right. And we're not going to get a chance to get to all the questions today. I'm going to go ahead and end this part of the conversation so that Cody can share some information with you. If you would like to learn from him, he's going to give you a way to do that. So I'm going to stop talking and let Cody. Cody, are you able to share your screen?
Let me give it a shot.
I think you're the co-host, so you should be able to do that. And I'll be quiet and let you do the talking.
Yep, is this showing up right now? I think it should be.
Okay.
So yeah, what I do, I'm gonna show you a little bit of what I do. So I take images like these, and throughout my tours and things of that nature, these are to show people that after the massacre, these are what Greenwood looks like. On the bottom right, 2023, you can see Vernon AME. Shout out Christy Williams again. But Vernon AME has the last foundation from the Greenwood district. It survived the massacre and it's still there. But what I do with the history classes and things that I teach, I try to make sure that we all understand that after the massacre, this is what Greenwood looked like in 1949 and then in 1953. So urban renewal project is actually what ended up tearing up Greenwood, which I go into a lot more detail during tours. But just so people can see and understand that urban renewal is also something that affected Black and Brown communities all over the U.S. And so that's one of the images I wanted to share with you all, that I have. And then this, the establishment of all Black towns. So one of the things about Oklahoma is we have more Black towns than any other state in the U.S. Um, and we even did back then. Boley, Oklahoma was actually one of the largest, but it did have banks, schools, hospitals, and various other businesses owned by Black people. And this is first and second generation out of slavery. So the next time somebody says like, "Oh, we haven't had such and such," and slavery did this, slavery did that, the resilience of these Black people to come from those conditions and literally build everything that they needed tells you that we got a lot to get back to, but also there's a level of love in this picture. One thing that stands out to me in this picture is how close the men are in proximity to each other. When I look at pictures now, we kind of stand a little separate. There's a lot more gap in there. So I teach a lot about the Black towns establishments and things of that nature. I did see a couple of questions pop up. So here in a second, I'm going to take care of that for you. And so then my course with Dr. Boyce Watkins in the business school, this is where we really dive into the history of not just Greenwood, but also Black wealth, Black Oklahoma, Black economics, and kind of the template that built Black Wall Street. I think what we lose when we only talk about the massacre is we lose the why. So understanding why O.W. Gurley built the way he did and why he felt it was important to do so, understanding why J.B. Stratford agreed to come here, things of that nature. And so I try to make sure it's a deep dive into all of it. And Black history all over the U.S. had its culmination here in Greenwood, but it was not the end. So a lot of these people that built in the Greenwood district were not from Oklahoma. So you may have had family here. And after the massacre, some of those people may have went back to where they came from, or years later may have traveled and moved somewhere else. So just because you're from, Kentucky, New York, Chicago, things of that nature, you may have had family in the Greenwood district. But it's also important to understand that if you want to build a successful Black community, you need the template of a successful Black community. So we kind of try to do all of that. And so what I'm doing with the class is a few things that we're actually putting all together. So versus just having just the course, so you get the full Black Wall Street history. The blueprint of a Dreamland is probably the closest thing I have to a book right now. So what I do is I take all of the blueprints and a lot of the whys and whats from the Greenwood district and kind of put those all together. So a lot of those different things still apply today. And paranomic principles are also kind of integrated into that. The village membership, what that means is if you ever come to the Greenwood district, I will give you and your family a free walking tour. You just have to tell me ahead of time because I really be ripping and running. But I'd love to be able to take you and your family out to the block, and similar to what I did with Dr. Boyce, be able to walk the block with you. The way these tours work in person is I like to approach it as if I'm talking to my own family. I don't like it to feel like a history class. So that's something I would love for everybody that's in here now to be able to experience. And then I also have a game that I created that I share. It's a social experiment. It's called Echoes of Time, Hidden Histories. It's a game of storytelling and to teach you the power of oral history, kind of how that works, and also to test the imaginations of people. So part of what the game is integrated into is showing what is your idea of what a Black town might look like. And there's different things that happen throughout that game that affect the outcome of what your community will look like. So it's a pretty cool thing. Then also merch. One of my friends, one of my good friends, Fashionable Gear, Derek Howard, he's going to bless everybody that signs up for the course with a free T-shirt from the Black Wall Street District. So it's actually made by a local person and a descendant of Greenwood, Derek Howard, fashionablegear.net. And then the Templates of Success is a digital workbook and action plan templates to apply to help you build legacy and also build community. That's more so something you can share with friends and family, kids, and things of that nature. The exclusive Q&A, I'll do a Q&A and answer any question I can from the Greenwood District. I want to make sure all of your questions are answered about Black Wall Street. If you know anything about me at my heart, I am a poet and a songwriter. That's my primary career. And so I do have certificates of completion for my courses that actually come with an exclusive poem that I only put on those particular certificates. So that's on there as well. And then Dr. Boyce was also collabing with me on this. And so he's actually throwing in some bonuses for us. So the Dr. Boyce life class, which is Secrets to Success from one of the world's leading scholars, Dr. Boyce Watkins, Black Wealth Discussions, The Hidden Truth of Black Wall Street, The Rules of Economic Self-Defense, Dr. Boyce Watkins, A New Paradigm for Black America, How to Create a 100-Year Plan for Your Family, free Black Wall Street tour, of course, the Templates of Success template, and then also the Echoes of Time, the Black Wall Street T-shirt, and the Blueprint to a Dreamland. So all of that's being thrown in to where it's a total value of $3,053, one-time payment of $697, or 2 monthly installments of $427 if you do it that way. But number one is I'm looking in the chat. I'm also looking in the Q&A, and we're going to do a little something different. I want to be able to get as many people signed up as I can. I would love to be able to spread this history with all of y'all. And so today, for the next 48 hours, it'll just be $397. So we take $300 off of that with 2 monthly installments of $277. It's no risk, 30-day money back guarantee. If you don't learn anything, I want to make sure that money goes right back to you. If you're familiar with me, what I do here in Greenwood is everything that I make, particularly off of my tours. I coach youth basketball, and so I put everything into the group of kids that I coach. I train as well, but I've had the same group of kids since they were in second grade. They are now they're freshmen now. And so this year was beautiful. I was able to take them for their first time. They went to a beach. I drove them all the way to Orlando, Florida from Tulsa, Oklahoma, which I don't advise ever driving if any of y'all have to do it. But that's what I do these things for. It's my way of giving back to the descendants and then just the community here. So if you go to b1wallstreet.com, you'll be able to get yourself signed up. And like I said, it'll be an 8-week course where we talk about Black wealth, Black Oklahoma history, and then Greenwood history. There's a lot of facts that people don't know about the Greenwood district that when you go to the museums and you watch the documentaries, these are people who are pulling information from the top. And so we try to dive a little bit deeper. And so similar to what my sister does with Black History Saturdays, kind of integrating all of that, because I'm almost willing to bet that if you are from a major city, there was probably a Black settlement there that was very similar to Black Wall Street. And so I want to make sure that we all not only learn about those, but we take away the templates that these people were able to build. Okay, so we want to see I'm looking forward to seeing y'all in there and being able to, talk to family. That's the way I like to do things, and that's the way I like to work. And so who is this for? It's literally for everybody. I believe that once we know not only what happened in Greenwood, but the templates we can use and apply to building in our communities now, we all do better. So one of the gems I learned from Black Wall Street was about the dollar circulating, and I had heard that so much as a kid, but I never really understood what circulation actually meant for the community. And so what I did learn was city economics. It kind of drove me into that. And so most cities work the same way. When a dollar is spent in a particular area, every year most cities do a tax assessment on how much money is spent in a particular zip code. They then have to allocate some of those dollars back to that community. That's what goes into schools to buy new books, upgrade the schools. That's also what goes into fixing the roads, the sidewalks, upgrading the parks. And so if you don't have commercial and residential, then your community can't generate income. And then in return, your community schools will suffer because of that. The parks and things of that nature, they'll all take a hit. And so that was one of the gems that I learned from the Greenwood District that applies all over the country. And so, yeah, if you're interested in learning more, just like I said, we just get signed up, and like I said, I'll be able to get that for you. I'm going to jump in this Q&A. There was a few questions I saw in here. Just give me 1 second. Mm-mm. All right, let's see what we got.
You know what? While Cody while you pull that up, I wanted to mention this too. I think that there's something here in terms of not just learning the history, from people like yourself, and I want everybody to know that once you sign up, you can bring your whole family to one membership. You don't have to sign up individuals, so it's buy one get one free. So you can share with anybody in the household, and it's yours for life. But it's one of those things where there are economic lessons that came from the geniuses that were able to do something 100 years ago that we haven't been able to do today. We got millionaires and billionaires out here that are in the NBA, the NFL, the major hip hop artists, and they don't have the ability to do what O.W. Gurley and some of the others were able to pull off because they had a special type of economics. It wasn't capitalism. It was much more cooperative in nature, where the well-being of the whole community is a bigger factor than just the well-being of the individual. So one of the things that I'll chime in and hopefully make sure we impress upon you through the resources provided with the Black Business School is what a healthy economic model looks like. And so this is not, we're not really, as you all know, we're not really into the whole like we want to integrate and be just like white folks because I don't think they're doing it correctly. I don't. I think that capitalism has harmed society. If you look at the price of food, you look at the price of healthcare, you look at what they did with student loans. You can keep going down the list of the food that's giving everybody cancer, right? All these are artifacts. This comes out of this relentless capitalism in our society. So I don't think we need to replicate what's not working. I think we need to replicate what did work, and what worked in this case with Black Wall Street as well as the other Black towns across the country is that there was a cooperative nature to it that says that I can do well while everyone else does well. But you have to have a specific business model built around that. And that's really lacking because we have so many people focused on individual success that they don't understand how that should be parlayed and scaled to become collective success. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like, for example, I went to school, I got a PhD in finance. I could be sitting in my office by myself, talking to nobody and and just doing well for myself. But instead, there's a model that allows what I know to be able to affect lots of people all around the world, right? So this is a mindset, and this is one of the reasons that we felt that the economic history of Black Wall Street was so important to not just talk about what happened and the tragedy of it all, but to really honor these individuals who had something before integration that we don't have today. It's something that we got to go back and dig it up and find it and pull it up and study it. This is what's going to make us great again, in my opinion. Cody, allow you to go ahead, please.
Yeah. So, yeah, I second that. I think that, one of the biggest pitfalls that we've had so far is we don't know how the money used to work. And the main thing that I've been able to find is that land ownership was the key to all of it. And so once we became renters, it changed everything for us. And so, some people will say that, Black Wall Street only existed because of segregation. But if you've ever been in this community, like our families, my mom, my grandma, like they would drive miles to find the Black option. And that wasn't because that's what they believed in. They believed that that was the model of how my grandmother grew up. That was then instilled into my mom. And so when we talked about epigenetic inheritance, again, the trauma is being passed down, but we're not passing down the triumphs. What made our grandparents and great grandparents go purchase property? What made them want to buy in? When they bought in a white neighborhood, they were buying for a different reason. What they understood was this white neighborhood, the value of the land there is much higher. They weren't buying in an area to fit in. They were buying in an area because of the value of the land. And so, that's why we have to be able to learn these things. And so I think that if we just learn it from a Black Wall Street perspective, then it makes it seem like only one demographic of people or one group of people are able to pull it off versus diving into the history and being able to see how many times this template has been replicated. So, for example, if you're a sports fan, if you watch Steph Curry shoot a basketball, if you only saw him shoot a basketball once, that teaches you nothing. If you got to watch this man shoot a basketball 100 times, you'll be like, I think I can go shoot like that. I can do that because you watched it happen over and over. And that's what Black history shows. Black history shows that Black people got up every time Black people got knocked down. And so it's not that, the difference is now we're getting up one at a time, and so, an image that comes to my head a lot, if I was an artist, I'd paint it. But uh, one day I was having a dream and I saw that there were a group of two wealthy white men were playing chess, and the chessboard was on top of it looked like it was floating in air. But as I looked deeper into it, in the shadow, there was actually a Black man and a Black woman that the chessboard was actually on their backs, and they were who were keeping this chess game going. And the first thing that came to my mind was just stand up. Like if they stand up, that entire chess game falls over. It's over. You can no longer do that anymore. So, it's the same thing with us. We have to get back to my mom and my grandma. They taught us these things. When I went to school, I would oftentimes come home and be like, yeah, mama, what they told me was this. Or, if you look at the template of our schools, it says that, well, you were a slave. And so from being a slave to having rights and being able to go to anywhere else than anywhere else can go to, that feels like success. And so, I can't remember where I saw it, but it said that the greatest victory of white America was it took a people who were superior and made them only wish to be treated as equals. And so I think that Black people are superior humans for one reason. We have the greatest amount of grace than any other human being has ever had, any other race has ever had. The only thing is sometimes we apply that grace to areas that don't need it or don't deserve it, and then the people who do deserve it don't get it. And so that's what I see when I dive into the history of Black people. Again, the image that's behind you. Look how close these people are sitting together. Now, these weren't family members. These are all Black business owners. These are all Black town leaders, mayors, and things of that nature. And they're that close together when taking a picture because they knew something we don't know, which is that proximity, that image in that time was probably the most scary thing that any state could see. That Black people are coming here from all over the country to do something. And they're not coming here to do it separately. They're coming here to do it together. So that's why I wanted to, involve you all, because I know, like I said, it changed my life. It changed my primary career is music, and it changed everything for me. So the amount of effort I was putting into recording and writing music it went into studying and understanding that who I am is totally different than what I was told I was. And so,
Mm.
um, and so that's yeah, that's what I love most about Black
Wow.
Wall Street. You know, it really does empower a human, man, to let you know this, just how amazing Black people have been and the type of adversity we face today. I mean, if we think about it now, like the biggest pitfall to us is, you know, shopping outside of our community. You know,
Mm.
whereas these people, they would be killed if they said out loud, I want to own a hotel one day. Like people were executed for that, you know, and so you weren't allowed to dream big back then. But also you had never seen it done before and you did it. You pulled it out of thin air and you did it. Versus now we have every example of it happening, you know, and so
Mm.
one of the classes is actually about, you know, how the Black towns got formed. That's something that most people don't know, how to form a city or a town in their own state, and it's a very easy thing to do. Fact that I learned just yesterday is the entire state of Wyoming has about 600,000 people. That's it. So
Wow.
uh, the U.S. is not as populated as we think. There's a lot of areas that are open. There's a lot of land that is incredibly cheap. Someone just has to buy it and build infrastructure and have a plan. And that's what O.W. Gurley knew in coming to Greenwood. It's like, oh, well, it's Indian territory and there's nothing there, then I'll go build it. And
Wow.
not, oh, I'll wait for someone to build it and then I'll go. It's nope, let me go step foot. So,
Well, you know
yeah.
what's interesting, Cody, is um, well, two things. First off, I found it fascinating that when you study O.W. Gurley, for example, it wasn't like he went and built with Black people because he had nothing better to do. It wasn't
Mhm.
that he that white folks didn't want him and so he goes to start a Black owned business because he can't get a good job. He walked away from other opportunities to be
Yeah.
with his own people. He did that by choice, from what I
Yeah.
understand. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. He walked away from a presidential appointment with Grover Cleveland.
Wow. So
So,
so he could have been kicking it with the president of the United States,
yeah.
but he chose his own people
Mhm.
instead. I think that's a powerful fact.
Yeah. Especially because first generation freedman, like
Mm.
coming to build this, he didn't know what this might have been. You know, there was no way for him to know that Greenwood would have the success that it had. I'm going to a place that the US doesn't even want at the time. So
Wow.
you don't know what the land quality is going to be, if you're going to be able to get resources to build, if you're going to be able to get the bricks to even put the building together. And then this isn't a time of Instagram and email. So how am I going to get the word out that I have it? How am I going to do any of these things? And so the fact that he still went for it,
Mm.
he left the safe, you know. And like I said, to quote my brother again, he always says that sometimes it's safe to be risky, and sometimes it's risky to be safe. So
Wow.
it's you have to, you know, you have to be able to step out and do that. And so him doing that at a time to where, you know, this area was this uncharted territory. He left his family, brought his wife, but left the rest of his family and came here. I did see Carrie Mays had a question about the reparations task force member with the city of Boston. How can we as the Black community support the expansion of the knowledge and the work that I do? The main thing I would say is come in, learn as much as you can, but take this and give it to every Black person that you know. Watch it with your families, you know, convert it in terms that your kids or your spouse will understand. But also share that information every day. You know, they say that you learn something new every day, but then we should be pulling these facts and dropping these facts to people all the time. You'll find a comparison or a time to put this in the conversation all of the time. And so that's what I would say how to do that. Uh, let's see, we have another one. Oh,
Well,
Karen Simpson says she's in Tulsa. Okay, so if you're in Tulsa, you are very close, and you know it's really, really hot. So come see me. I'm at the Black Wall Street Liquid Lounge, 10 North Greenwood, Suite 101, every day. I don't get to leave. I see Christy laughing because we were just talking about how hot it was earlier today. But yeah, just pop in and see me. I'd be more than happy to, to talk to you and answer any questions you have about the class or just the district in general.
Let me hop in and say congratulations to some people who signed up for the class. Larissa Humphrey, Andrea Felicia Burnett, Helen Weaver, Tabitha Tyson. Congratulations for signing up for the course. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in a little twist. For the first 10 people that sign up, we do these what we call these Dr. Boyce VIP sessions where we meet in a small group of no more than 5 or 6 people, and we talk about what you're trying to do economically. And basically, you can talk to me directly about what you're trying to accomplish, whether you're trying to start a family investment club, you're trying to invest in stocks, you're trying to make money with stock options, whatever the case may be. So for the first 12 people that sign up, you will get a direct invitation to participate in one of these small group VIP sessions. The regular price is $299. It will be 100% free for the first 12 that sign up. So Chanel, make a note of that. And let's document the first 12 people and send that invitation out to everybody that joins, because that'll give us a chance to really talk about this. Because here's the thing, Cody, one thing I want is I don't want us to be economic spectators. All right. If you think about wealth is a competition. It is a battlefield. It is a game of power. And I don't want us to be spectators in the football game. I want us to be players in the game. Right. I don't want us sitting on the sidelines and just studying history and just learning history. We need to be out here making history.
Yep.
Do y'all understand that we have to be out here making it? We are Black history. We're learning it, but we're creating it. Do y'all understand? There's nothing that these individuals on this screen did that you can't do right now. You could do it times 10. You got 10 times more opportunity. You have 10 times more access. They're not going to kill you for having a big dream or wanting to own a hotel or whatever. We've done all that in the Black business. We've had entire conferences on how to buy hotels. Some of you have already done that as a result of it. So my belief, Cody, is that I think the goal so if you sign up for this, really what I'm begging you to do is don't just learn. I need you to internalize the secret sauce that these individuals had, because they didn't have more money than you. They didn't get to go to fancy schools like you did, but they had something spiritual and in terms of confidence, focus, and commitment and love for each other that maybe we can learn from, that can help us go to that next level. They had a type of economic consciousness that I want us to really internalize. So I don't want you to just study Black Wall Street. We need to become Black Wall Street. So
Yeah.
there you go. Please, Cody, go ahead, please.
Yeah. I want you to carry that Greenwood spirit. Like, those of us here, like we can see it. We feel it. There are people in this community that are forever family because of the way we do it. We don't get this Black history anywhere else, and so we have to make sure that when we're learning it, that's what changed the way I looked at things. That's what made me dive into it more. I'm the person that I buck the system just about every chance I get. And it's because I'm learning more and more what my ancestors in Greenwood did, what my grandmother did. She told me all the good stories about her life, but then I also get to see, how many times my grandma fought and she thought she lost, but she kept fighting and she kept fighting and then she won. And I get to see these things. So every time I feel like, okay, that mountain's too high to climb, that mountain's too high to climb, I get to do it, and I get to, kind of tap into that history and my own DNA and knowing that I've got stories from all of these people. I've got a template from all of these people with less resources, uh, less technology, and less examples of it happening. I'll say this: I don't have very many firsts in my family. Like, oh, first to go to college, first to build a house, first to. I come from a lineage of people who they did a lot of those firsts for me. But it's just as important for me to be the next one as it would be for me to be the first one. You can't just have that first time and then call it a day. Uh, Robin asked about the connection between Tuskegee community and then Greenwood. Well, Tuskegee, the difference, there was a connection though. Booker T. Washington, of course, ended up in Tuskegee. He's also the person who named Greenwood Black Wall Street. He said that this reminded him of a Negro version of Wall Street. But the part that just a little gem and a nugget for you to take is O.W. Gurley. Uh, he was born in Alabama, but he was raised in. He ended up in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and that was actually where Booker T. Washington said that Pine Bluff, Arkansas was supposed to be. It was a Negro's paradise, is what he called it. So that was before he called Black Wall Street Black Wall Street. So for O.W. Gurley to go from a Negro's paradise to the middle of nowhere and build tells you a lot. So these communities, without technology that we have now, without Twitter, Instagram, any of that, O.W. Gurley and Booker T. Washington, J.B. Stratford, who was also from Kentucky, all of these people ended up in the same place. So if you imagine now, we have 437 people on the main link. Like, how could I get 437 people to come to Greenwood in Tulsa, Oklahoma? They figured out how to get over 10,000 people to an area without a Zoom meeting, without a webinar, without any of these things. And so for us to have access to all of this, we got to tap into it and use it, you know? So, yeah.
Yes. Well, I love that. And I'm gonna tell you, it's it was an accident that actually met Cody. My brother who does work in Tulsa, he's working with to raise money to bring some black manufacturers to Tulsa. He mentioned the tour that Cody does, and he said you got to go on this tour. You got to go on this tour. So I did it because my brother told us about it, and from the very minute I walked into the Black Wall Street Liquid Lounge, I remember saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed that that there's so much stuff I didn't know." And what I like also about your depiction of what happened at that time is you really did a great job of really humanizing the individuals that were involved, just really showing respect to their legacies by really bringing them to life and just telling all these amazing stories about things that we were never going to learn in school, and I appreciated you for that 100%. And I personally will say that I think everybody, as a thought experiment, just imagine if you took the mindset of the people 100 years ago in Greenwood, imagine what they could do if they had what you have right now. Like, imagine what they could do if they had the freedom that you have right now, where they could have any dream, read any book, go to any school. Imagine what they would do if they had the good black jobs, making all this good money that y'all making right now. Imagine if they had as many millionaire entertainers as we have right now. Imagine if they had as many multimillionaire athletes that we have right now. I mean, imagine what they could do with what we got right now. Just with the wealth of a LeBron or an Oprah or a Kanye. Imagine what they could build. So what I think is really true is that we think that we are lacking economic resources, but really, to some extent, we're lacking the economic consciousness and the imagination required, as well as the discipline and desire necessary to really build the kinds of empires that we could build. I would argue that if they had then what we have now, they could probably build manufacturing facilities that employ 100,000 people. They could build an Amazon. They could build a Tesla like Elon Musk. They could build a Walmart like Sam Walton, right? So we have the same DNA. We are these people. They are us. We are them. So let's go ahead and ignite that. I like the way you talk about epigenetics and genetic memory and things like that, Cody, because it almost seems to me that there are genes that we did not unlock. There's parts of ourselves that we have not unlocked because we were born in a space that puts so many limitations on what we can do. Is that something that you kind of feel like? I almost feel like this type of training can help us to really find out, like, this is who you are. This is who the hell you are. Like,
Yeah.
stop being this level 2 Negro when you're supposed to be a level 12 king. You're supposed to be out here kicking butt and taking names, but somebody
Yeah.
convinced you to be something that you're not. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts on that?
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I wrote in a poem one time that, I was trained to look at my feet so that I would never dream of a sky. Like, we always play defense. Like, these were times where black folks were playing offense. And when we played offense, we were winning. And so oftentimes, in sports analogies, they say, well, defense wins championships, but not if you don't score a point. You still need a point on the board. And so we're so concentrated on playing defense that we haven't been able to make offensive moves. And so one of the things that, I got from my particular heritage is my mom always told me that my family has never been a reactive family. We've always been proactive. She was like, sometimes that meant moving before things got bad. Or she said sometimes that meant arguing with somebody because I knew we was gonna fall out eventually. Like she didn't care what it was. She believed in being proactive to things because when you're reactive, it limits the options you can take. And so I think that these people realize that instead of putting 100% of my time in the defense, let me play offense. Let me see what it looks like if I do this. And so they saw what it looked like and they saw the massacre and they could have said, you know what? If we build it, they're going to burn it. So we won't do it again. But instead, they rebuilt it and they built it to be bigger the second time, almost to say, oh, okay, we'll burn this one. And they couldn't burn it. So years later, you get urban renewal. And so when urban renewal happens and it takes land ownership away, my grandma out of her own mouth told me, I didn't tell you much about that because I didn't want to tell you about a community I didn't think you'd ever live to see. She didn't think that in listening to us that we had the same willpower. Like we wanted things like our granny. I can't wait to when I'm grown, I'm moving to Miami. When I'm grown, I'm moving to this state. I'm moving to this state. And I know in her mind she had to been thinking, why would you leave Greenwood? Everything you want to build. So it's no different in Africa. When you look at Africa, why does Africa look the way it does? Well, because Africa's best engineers and best minds are building the US and building the UK. They're not building Africa, they're building somewhere else. And it's no different with us. If you look at the city you come from, the people who made it out, they're building somewhere else most of the time. And so what that does is that example that's in close proximity is now gone. So I'm having to look to LeBron, Michael Jordan, Steph Curry. I'm having to look that way versus being able to say, nah, like Dr. Boy's from the same hood as me, and seeing what Dr. Boy's built, seeing what Lawrence Grimmett might build, being able to see those things. I know for a younger person, that was why I held around elders because I saw, the pride in saying, yeah, I bought this with my first dollar. But this was my first. My grandma had a check frame, her first check of $500 or more, and she had it in a frame because she was like, growing up, I didn't ever think I was gonna see a check for $500, and so she was like, I kept it, and to me, it was like, oh well, okay, I need to get a check of 500. She's like, boy, you got to add more zeros than what I got, and so just that little thing, it keeps people going, man. And I think that all of us have it in us. It's not just the people who live here in Greenwood, the people from the massacre, and a lot of them did relocate, So JB Stratford ended up in Chicago. So he has family in Chicago and they've went on to do great things, So their descendants are all over the country. So their DNA and their influence is all over the country. So we have to learn it and then not limit it into that box. We got to push it out.
Wow, wow. Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna congratulate those of you that decided to sign up for the course, which you can go to b1wallstreet.com, be the number one wallstreet.com. The special offer lasts for 48 hours, if I'm not mistaken. And I want to congratulate Jill Caskey, Chelsea Madison, Karen Fletcher, Melody Woods, Daryl Bryant, Brenda Murray, JC Stennis, Natalie Davis, Verlette Toms, James Keller, Tabitha Tyson, Helen Weaver, and many others who signed up. This is going to be something that's going to be extraordinary. We also want to reiterate. I hope that you will each one teach one. We don't teach any students in the Black Business School. We have no students. We only teach teachers because we have to scale up our own educational process, our core values. I don't know if you know about this, Cody, but we believe in the Black Core 3 that Black people should educate our own children, create our own jobs, and support Black-owned businesses. That's what we believe in. And so when you come in, learn, internalize, get certified on all this, understand group economics. We'll make sure you get all that. Bring your family, bring your kids, bring your spouse, bring people that represent the next generation as well, so that we can do that. And also those who are grandparents, you represent the next generation. I want you to understand that, because you're the ones that are going to look out for the grandbabies. You're the ones that are going to make sure they have the trust funds and do the estate planning and the legacy building and teach the lessons. Cody and I both, first thing both he and I talked about today was our grandmothers. So don't think that because I'm 65 or 70 years old, I have nothing to contribute. Not only are you a player in the game, you are a star player in the game, because you're the wisest among us. We don't do what society does. Society looks up to young, stupid people. We look up to wise, older people. We look up to the people that have the life
Yeah.
experience that have put in that 10,000 hours, like Cody talked about. So you are a star player in this game. So don't think that age is a barrier on any level. And then what we'll do is, after the course is done, or during that time, I will give you all full information on when we plan to take that trip out to Tulsa. The plan right now, based on what the conversation I'm having with my team and our travel partner, is around November. Cody confirmed that the November in Tulsa isn't that bad, so we're going to try to go maybe right after the All Black National Convention, which you guys know we're going to meet in Chicago, Lombard, Illinois, right outside Chicago, October 25th through the 27th. Cody will be there, right, Cody?
Yes. Yep.
Yes. So Cody will be at the convention too, so you get a chance to meet him directly as well. And then right after that, early November, before the 15th, we're going to all go out there and we're going to make it rain on the Black Wall Street Liquid Lounge. We're going to do this tour together, and that'll be a great culmination of everything we've learned, and then putting it into practice, stepping on the soil, meditating on what people did in that special sacred space, and really elevating our economic consciousness so we can go out here and not just learn the Black history. We got to go make the Black history. Okay. So does that sound like
Mhm.
a plan? Give me a yes if that sounds like a good plan. I thought about it. This is something that I believe will actually help us to walk away in a way that we maximize the impact. Okay. So the URL is b1wallstreet.com. I'll ask Cody. I'll let you get the last word, brother. Did you have anything you want to say before we bounce out tonight?
Yeah, just that when you all come, I like it won't be just the regular tour. You know, you guys are I realize how far y'all are coming. And actually, again, my sister Christy been real active in that chat. So she said add in Vernon, which I did talk to you about. So definitely will be taking you to Vernon and me, a place real close to the heart, man. And so when y'all come, I want you to understand that you're coming to see family. Like this is a family reunion you coming to. But when you come, like I said in the words of my brother Marlon Hall, bring flowers. Like you're bringing flowers for a garden. Like it's you're
Yes.
gonna help decorate this garden. Like this is not a graveyard that you're coming to leave feeling sad. You're gonna leave out of this place and out of this course. I guarantee you're gonna leave empowered. I guarantee you're gonna leave feeling like I can build, because these aren't people who were born in the millions. So some of them have very similar stories to what we have. And so
Yeah.
I want to make sure that, we all get it when you get here, that you are as welcome as you can possibly be. That name you kept hearing of Christy Williams, you will meet her if she's not traveling. She does a lot of traveling, teaching Black history all over the world. Marlon Hall, that I've named dropped quite a bit, you'll be able to meet him. God willing, Papa Eaton, who is my history book and my elder and my guide here in Greenwood. He's 89, and he's when I tell you the man can tell you what business used to sit where, he can even tell you if he used to like them or not. He remembers all of it. So yeah, I'll make sure that that's all queued up for y'all, and you get to see how we are. But you leave here family. You don't leave here a tourist. You leave here as family.
All right, I love that. I love that. That's I like that family. I like that word family, man. That inspires me. Just like when Cody and I were talking about how grandmothers never die. Black Wall Street ain't dead. None of these people in these pictures are dead. Their spirits live. And when you have that consciousness, as I mentioned to you all every day in Money in the Morning, the higher you go in your consciousness, the more connected you get to God. The more it's really a spiritual process. You're elevating, you're leveling up, right? And as you level up, and you connect to ideas, you connect to concepts, you connect to institutions, whatever it is, those things don't die. So Black Wall Street, it's not confined by the lifespan of a human being. This idea is going to live for 100,000 years. It's up to us to decide if that's going to be the case. Just like when I went to ancient Egypt and the Nubian village and stuff like that, there are ideas that have lived for thousands of years because there was an intentionality behind that, right? So ultimately, what I want you to just understand is that when you go to this garden, but not a graveyard, you go to this garden, you're connecting with these ideas that are going to continue to thrive, and they're going to be stronger than ever once we're done. So we're going to get the job done. We're not just going to study Black history. We're about to go make it. I want to say thank you all very, very much for hanging out with us. The website, if you'd like to sign up for the class, is right there. It's b1wallstreet.com. That's B, the number one, wallstreet.com. And Cody's going to get started soon. They'll reach right out to you. And the Black Business School, we got your back. So there's a refund guarantee in the first 30 days. If you have any issues whatsoever, our support team is right here. And I'll be right with you when we go to Tulsa as a culmination of the class right after the convention. So thank you very much, Cody Ransom. It was great to see you, man. So much respect for you, brother. Much love to you and the Tulsa community. And I will see you all. I guess I'll see everybody here tomorrow morning because we do Money in the Morning every single morning because we are real serious about elevating our economic consciousness. And because Black Wall Street lives it is thriving in this space. We ain't trying to be mediocre. We're out here trying to be excellent. So God bless all of you, and I hope you have a great night. So thanks a lot, Cody.